Hey fam, it's Pastor Sam. Hope you guys are doing well. I want to give you a tool called the Identity Prayer that has been extremely insightful and just enlightening to how our history and the people that we've come in contact with has really influenced us. I got this from Pastor Eric, and it's been extremely beneficial for a lot of people. So if you've gone through this, great. If not, I'm excited to share this with you. So go get a piece of paper, and a pen. Press pause on this video and go get that so we can do this together. Okay, you should be back. Before we march into this, first and foremost, I want to invite the Spirit into this. And so press pause on this video, and I want you to pray out loud that the Spirit would be present, that He would just flood our minds and our hearts, that we could trust the thoughts, the images, and the words that come to mind, that they are from Him. And so invite the Spirit into this process with us as we chug through and discern. So press pause and go ahead and pray. Bam. Okay. Glad that the Spirit is involved with us now. So listen intently to this. What we need to know setting this up is identities and titles and statements and names mean a ton to us, more than we even give it credit for. They influence us in ways that we don't even realize. If you think of Scripture, Abraham and Sarah were given literally new names where Yahweh implanted His name into their names and called them the father of all the nations, that they would birth the nation of Israel, which is crazy to think about. Other people, Gideon was considered a warrior and how he lived that out. Prophets were spoken over, the weeping prophet, and different names given. Another name, if you think of Peter, his name was given to him, meaning rock upon which Jesus would build His church. Even Jesus Himself, whenever He was baptized and the dove came down like a spirit over Him, God spoke, "This is my Son," another statement, identity statement over Jesus. And so names have significant meanings. Your name has a significant meaning. And keep that in mind as we're talking through this. And so what I want you to do is draw this graphic, okay? Down, across, and a box at the bottom. We're going to use this to guide us, okay? Now, where did I put that? There it is. Okay, so first and foremost, on this side, what I want you to think about first is think through your life. Think through experiences that you had, influential people that really was a positive influence for you. And think of names that were spoken over you that you just remember. For me, some identities that were spoken over me are: a guy told me I was the best leader that he knew. Other ones were coach and pastor. I've been father, which is a significant one for me. Okay. I've been called an evangelist, which I'm still learning what that means at times. Okay. So think of different identities that people have spoken over you during your time. It could be a lot of different things. Take some time to think through that. If you need to press pause on this video, go ahead. Okay, next. Now, I want you to think of experiences that were very influential, that were very much in a positive way. And so at one point, I was speaking, and somebody mentioned, "Man, I love the way you speak." I remember that statement. Somebody shared at one point that they had a dream, and I was in it, and I was singing this song, and nobody would listen to it, but it was the most beautiful song, and everybody should hear it. And so she shared, "I feel like God's telling me to tell you that to keep singing your song." Somebody else shared with me at one point, they told me that I was fresh water to the soul. That was crazy. That was a good one. So think through different experiences like that positively influenced you. It could be a lot of different things. So first, different identities that were given to you. Secondly, experiences or people that came up to you that just really influenced you. One that was significant, I'll share this one last. Somebody came up to me and just shared that they saw me as a pastor leading youth, which was nuts. So, and I was not a youth pastor at this time. So you can call that prophetic if you want. But here's some just crazy identity things that happen. So if you want to press pause and think through some of those things, go ahead. Okay. Lastly, on this side, I want you to quiet yourself and take some time to think through this. But I want you to ask the Spirit to bring about any words or visions or different things like that that God wants to speak over you at this time. Don't filter this. Don't filter it. Just write it down. So press pause and think through that. Well, example first, if you want some examples from me. When I did this in the past, things that came up, visions that came up were of a bridge. There was a bleeding heart. Catalyst. Voice. Those are some things that God brought to mind as I was just taking time. So take about 5 to 10 minutes to sit with the Spirit and see what comes up. Don't filter it. So press pause. Go. Okay. Now that you're back, so we know that our God is a good, good Father. Okay, I don't want you to write that up here. Okay. That He wants what's best for us. And sometimes He uses people, He speaks to us directly, and He uses experiences to not just accomplish Him bringing the kingdom come, but to make us our best selves. And so we can trust that through our life, people have been speaking positive things through us on behalf of God, and we can trust that. And hopefully here are some things that have shown that. Okay? Now, let's move to the right side. Over here, what I want you guys to think about first off is, what are some very negative statements and comments in your life that have left a significant, lasting impact on you? For me, I was in high school on the football team, and I was a leader on the football team. And we were going to lose our sectional championship game, and it was very tough. But I kept on trying to motivate our players. And I was a younger guy, a sophomore, and one of the seniors on that team looked at me and said, "Nobody listens to you." And I'll never forget that. Another experience that I had, and somebody spoke over me, this was when I was in college. Class president for my fraternity, and we were trying to change things around because we had gotten a lot of hot water before I had gotten there. And so we're trying to do what's best for those guys. And again, a senior came up to me and he said, "I know what you're trying to do, coming in on your white horse to change things, and it's not going to happen." He said, "Nobody will follow you." So think of experiences where people spoke things that really wounded you. And maybe some of those are still present today. Some other things that I remember. I've been told I'm sensitive, too sensitive. I've been told that, with that, just the nice guy in a negative way. Like, "Oh, you're just the nice guy. You're way too sensitive." That I care too much about people. I've been told that I'm too deep, that I think through things. And I remember somebody told me once, they're like, "Man, Does everything have to be about God all the time? So think through some of these significant things, negative things that you remember, that you still hold on to. And you should know, because they should be some of the things that pop up pretty easily. So press pause on this and think through those things. All right, now that we're back, so we know God's a good Father, and He uses people and experiences and even speaks to us directly to try to identify us and own us because we are His. But we also know that there's an enemy, and the enemy wants to do everything to derail what God's best is for us. He is called the adversary, which means like coming in direct adversity against what God has in store. And so this is the enemy, known as the father of what? Lies. Okay. So we've got the good Father and what He's speaking over us. And over here, we've got the father in lies and what he might be speaking through people and into us to try to deter that. Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay. Now down here in this block, I want you to write down specific things that you truly believe without a shadow of a doubt that God has spoken over you or called you to. This could be verses that have defined you. Okay. So for me, a verse is 2 Timothy 1:7. That says, God did not give you a spirit of timidity, but a spirit of strength and love and of discipline. Romans 14:8, which says, if I live, I live to the Lord. If I die, I die to the Lord. So whether I live or I die, I am the Lord's. John 15:16-17, which says, you did not choose me, but I chose you to go bear fruit that will last. My name, Samuel. We talked about names meaning a lot, right? That name actually means to hear God, or God hears. Two-way street. Think about that. These are things that I have held on to that have kind of set a trajectory of my life that I feel like God literally gave me or spoke over me. So think through that. Take some time. Press pause if there's significant things that need to be written there. This is like the foundation of what you've landed on or what you can land on. So take some time. Press pause. Do that. Go. Okay. So now that we have all of this, what I want you to try to make a connection on and to see is this. All the positive things that have been spoken over me throughout my life up to this point. It's kind of ironic how maybe, and just maybe, the lies that have been shared might be in direct opposite, in contrast to those things. So let's think about this. Nobody listens to you. I remember that significantly. But here God told me I'm a voice. Okay? I'm a pastor. And nobody will follow you. Leader. Okay? I love the way you speak. Nobody listens to you. Sing your song. Nobody listens to you. All of those things. Fresh water. Nobody will listen or follow. Youth pastor, which is literally leading. Nobody will follow. Too sensitive. I care too much. I'm too deep. If you think of those things, you got a father who cares. You got the bleeding heart idea. Who cares? Fresh water to the soul. Who cares? Another one I didn't write on here was that I was a good counselor. And that would be another one for like you care and you think deeply. Pastor also goes in there. And then this last one, is it all about God? Pastor, evangelist, fresh water, youth pastor, bridge to people, catalyst. So what I want you to think through, look over this thing and try to start making the connections to actually see maybe your entire life, the things that God's been trying to call out of you and call you into, that the father of lies has been keeping you from by informing you. And so how to use this now. Take some time to think through that. Press pause. Try to see if you can see connections. But how to use this, what I want you to do is own what God's been speaking over you here. Own that. Speak them out loud to yourself, to others. And these other things are lies, keeping you from God's best. So speak into life these things and own them over yourself, because people have spoken these over you. And all of these lies that people have shared with you, that your experience have shared with you, even think through the things that you tell yourself. The things that go, oh, I can't do that. Or, you're no good at that. Like, man, you're not, like, you're ugly. Or you're not talented. Or you can't do that because you're not. Or you're not this, or you're not that. Those internal things that even you tell yourself. Those are lies keeping you from what God's best is. So don't believe these things. Write them down. And when you see them come up again, call them out for what they are. They're lies. And own what God has for you over here. Now, I think this is a healthy exercise to continue to do just periodically. Because as we continue to grow, our experiences continue to shape us. And this can help remind us of what God's called us into, what he's calling out of us. And the things that are trying to keep us from that. And so hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And believe what God says about you. And all the lies that are keeping you from that, unload them. Get rid of them. Don't believe them. Because God has amazing things in store for all of us. Own that. Love you guys.